So on this week's episode of Scrapyard Choppers, I'm going to be getting the race car all ready to go for the next weekend. I got to do an oil change, spark plug change, I got to fix some wiring issues, and I got to put some switches in it. And there's also a gaping hole on the side of the car over here. I'll show you here in a minute. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty fun episode, and finally some racing. So alright, as you can see, that's kind of a big hole. Yeah, that was a pretty hard hit. So I'm going to patch that up, weld a piece of steel, probably make it go way bigger than what the hole is, just to add some more reinforcement. And then we're going to do all the spark plug wires. Well, not wires, the wires are so good, they're not even a year old. And I got these boots on it to protect them. As you can see, they get pretty close. Then an oil change. I also got to figure out that alternator situation, and then try to figure out, maybe redo this wiring this year. It's been cut apart, spliced apart a few times, put back together. It's kind of a mess. That's part of the MSD. I gotta put a new switch in it, because this switch shouldn't do that. Probably all new switches, it's time. So, I'm gonna get to work. So the spark plugs are all out. They look pretty good, honestly, for running all last season. They're a little bit rich, but we like to run it a little rich. I'd rather be rich than lean. I don't want to burn this thing up. And we're not looking for max power. We're just looking for good enough. When figure 8 racing. Now I just got to change oil. And then maybe we'll get to some other things today. We'll see what happens. pretty much everything. It's Rotella, it's diesel oil. It's very important to use this in anything pre-1996, pretty much any vehicle, okay, because it has zinc in it. And motors before 1996 need zinc to survive. Not so much for this LS motor, but it's still got a lot of extra stuff in it to make it healthy and last hopefully a really long time. So yeah, it's pretty much what I use in everything. It's supposed to have 5W30 in it, but I don't think 5 extra weight will hurt anything too much. You do have to be careful. You cannot run heavy or thicker oil in this. If you run thicker oil in an LS motor, you will blow it up. But this stuff seems to work pretty good, so I'm going to run it for another season. So after having the wrong filter, we had to go and get the right filter. And wouldn't you know it, they only had the XP version, so I guess better performance? Probably not, but whatever.
Can you put that on the blooper reel?
Cool. Supposed to always pre-fill your oil filters if it's possible. Also grip everywhere, right? What? Just that rag, please.
You want me to drop it?
See my hand? Alright, now we're going to patch up this hole. Now, trying to really decide what to do here. I got a bar right here, and I want to go up to here. But I also want to butt it up to here. So I'm kind of thinking about 13 inches right there. And then 13 inches down to there leaves me with a little gap to weld to here, so I just ain't welding on top of that weld. So I'm thinking 13 by 13 should do just fine. I was thinking about going all the way up to here, but that's a lot of welding. I don't actually have a lot of time for this race, so 13 by 13 is, as you can see, there's a patch here, a patch there, and some other patches, and this is all bent. So I'll just keep adding patches to it. It'll just keep getting stronger and stronger over the years. It's gone pretty well this far, so might as well just keep adding to it. And honestly, it's too light in the back end anyways, so it might help a little tiny bit. It's alright, this is our model. It's an old electrical box. It's made out of 1/8 inch steel. Pretty solid. The only thing about this is it's got this lip here that's got to come off, and I'll have to cut this off and cut that off, but it's free. It's something I had laying around. Metal's really expensive right now. Otherwise, I just go buy a drop and probably be done with it pretty quick. But if you want to help, so I'm not on quite so much of a budget, the best thing you can do is comment on this video and hit subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. See, I got it marked here. I'm going to mark down there, so I'm just going to come in with my square. It ain't going to be perfect, but it's got to be good. I can't do this one-handed, so I'm going to set this down. Alright, got this all drawn out. Get my grinder going here. I like to use the DeWalt cutoff wheels. They seem to last the longest. I have a plasma cutter, but it's way too much work to drag it all the way out here. This will be nice and easy. It's also snowing, so I'm outside enjoying the weather. Good old April in Michigan. Now I gotta cut these lips off, and then cut this out, and cut this bar on the inside. So always wear your gloves and your safety glasses, unless you forget, like I like to sometimes. Oh, I gotta plug it in, apparently. Alright, got this all marked out. I'm going to grind all the paint off and the vinyl. Now, it sucks I'm going to be losing my Michael's Auto Salvage sticker. They're a great sponsor of mine. If you ever need some auto parts in the Howell area, hit up Michael's Auto Salvage. They'll take good care of you. Tell them Ron saying you, Corey will know who I am. He's the owner. But yeah, I got to grind this all off. And we'll paint it up later. It'll be black. I'm not going to have time to redo the sticker for this race, but yeah, we're going to repaint this car anyways. That's coming out. Perfect. Breathed in a little shit right there. part I suck at, doing the bottom. If you got any tips out there for how to weld upside down a little better, I'm all ears. But the rest of it's coming together pretty well. Looks pretty good. One more hole. Well, that didn't turn out too bad. Let's look. Sometimes I kind of know how to weld. That didn't do too bad along the bottom, but it really is my weakness. Figure it out one day. Now I'm gonna wire wheel this and get it cleaned up and maybe spray it with some primer. Sorry, I forgot to record this. I'm hooking the alternator up. Got my resistor in there. I used some of them sweet wire ties that have the solder in them. You just solder it all together. It worked really easy. I wish I would have shown that. Got my resistor. I'm going to run this wire through here into my switches there. Yeah, I know that's a mess. It's got to get redone. Hopefully soon. All the wiring in this car is kind of a mess. But it works. That's all that matters right now. So I gotta run this to the ignition switch. So when the ignition sees power, this sees power. And the reason you run a resistor is it drops the amps, because that will, if you put 12 volts to it, it'll let it charge way too much. So you gotta drop it. So it charges where it's supposed to be, like 14. Otherwise you burn the alternator up, which I might have already did, but yeah, we'll see here in a few minutes. Sorry, now that I got my wire ran, it's got to go up here on my power switch. Got to put the connector on. Now, I never crimp these stupid things on as my phone goes off. I always, well, I'll crimp them to start, but I always solder them. It's going to be kind of hard to do one hand. But anyways, put it on. Soldered. I never just crimp them. They always come apart when you crimp them, especially in demolition derby world. So you solder them, then you can put some shrink tubing around it and seal it up good, or just use electrical tape. I'll show you when I'm done. Nice and soldered. Now I just gotta wrap some tape around that and wherever the hell I put my tape. Alright, new switches are in. Got the line run for the alternator. They're alright. I really don't like it. They have the like a thing you're supposed to grab with some pliers and tighten up instead of a nut. And it's kind of a pain in the ass, especially in this mess. But they work good. Hopefully the alternator works. But I think that's all I got left to do but check some fluids, and it's ready to race.
Look at all the dust on my phone. Oh my gosh. There's so much dust on my phone.
Tickles the eardrums a little bit, doesn't it?
Just a little. I'm used to it.
Just a puking transmission fluid. Oh, pretend we didn't see that. What'd you think?
That was fun.
Sure you don't want to try to drive it?
I don't want
to. Well, I made it up north. Car's all ready. Gonna do some painting. All I had to do, got them switches in. I did both switches because just doing one is ridiculous. You might as well just do them both, because if one fails, the other one's gonna fail. Wired up my alternator. And yeah, it's ready to race. So that'll be the next video. Stay tuned for that, and see you next time. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.